Hey, welcome back to another episode of TSP. How's everyone doing?
Hello.
Good.
How are you?
All right.
How are you, past commander?
Today we sit down with Mario and get his story. But before we get on to him, there's a few things we need to hit. First of all, it was just VFW weekend in Tennessee.
Yes,
How'd that go?
The state convention, it was great. We definitely need more people to show up to the state convention. But it was good. We got all American, we got all state. That's 2 years in a row. That's right. Eat it. So we're like the best post ever. I wish we could have done better in our division. And I won't go into that, but somebody didn't put the guys, like we got 8 people at an IW hike in Nashville. They haven't even been put in yet. So we got to put all the people we've accumulated this year in 1 month. So it's probably like 45 people. And we are going to be on top of the world in about 3 weeks.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So also, before we get started, I want to mention, first of all, I want to thank our Patreon members and everybody that supports us.
Thank you.
Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do. And with that money, what we do is, it wasn't our intent to profit off of people's war stories or, their stories. Those, we lost them. And so what we do is we started a nonprofit and we send veterans and first responders to sporting events. So
Sweet.
yeah, I just bought this year season tickets to the Detroit Lions. So even though I'm in Tennessee, I'm from Detroit. So I figured I wanted to bless my hometown first.
Heck yeah.
So I don't know how the chaps, but anyways, this is our 2-year anniversary today. So congratulations, man. You're on the 2-year anniversary show.
Wow. Congratulations. You guys kill it. It's a really, really neat show. I got an opportunity to listen to a couple episodes.
Hey, thank you, man. Yeah, we so it's funny how we started off. Actually, I had 3 grandfathers. I had a great grandfather and 2 grandfathers when I was younger. I was blessed to know them both very well. And all 3 of my grandfathers are combat veterans. My great grandfather was a World War I veteran. He was in the Navy. And then his son was my grandpa Carr. He was in World War II, Old Hickory 30th Division Army. He was shot by a German sniper, earned a Purple Heart for that. And then my other grandfather on my dad's side, he was a World War II veteran. And his first duty was filling body bags at Pearl Harbor. So, and I used to love talking to them, getting their stories, man. And I always thought to myself, even as a young kid, I was like, man, I feel like every American should hear these stories, man. This is phenomenal. Absolutely. And then I became a veteran myself. And then as I was going through the ranks of the American Legion and the VFW, and anytime I went to a post, either in my home state, Michigan, or outside, I'd always find the old man at the bar and just start picking his brain. And you're just like blown away, It's like, man, somebody's got to start recording these shows. And that's how we were born, doing stuff like that. So
awesome.
Okay. It just updated. Like you were saying that 2 weeks ago. Yeah. My shit just updated while I was talking.
Okay. right as we're starting off.
Dude, Microsoft Edge. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I'm like, is it plugged in? And I had to lick the thing, and I'm like, okay, we're good. We're good.
I was just saying, you missed it. This is our 2-year anniversary episode.
Yay!
And I was just explaining how we started. And so with the nonprofit, the money, I have 2 podcasts, this podcast and the Nosebleeds Report, where me and my friends talk sports on every Sunday morning. So I have that generates a little bit of money. This generates a little bit of money.
Oh, come on.
And also, I just released this a week ago from Sailor to Backyard Cook. It's a cookbook because I love cooking. So I love cooking outdoors. And this is actually my grandmother here, and that's me as a young sailor. So it's not just, yes, a yeoman. So
I'm an SK, so don't worry about it.
Not only is this a cookbook, great recipes, but there's also quotes
from all our guests.
From all of our guests at TSP. So inside this cookbook, are some amazing hero stories, and it was very emotional putting this together. Now that it's out and it's ready to roll, I'm going to be out promoting it, and we're going to start a second book, and this book is going to feature the Farr brothers.
Dude, wait a minute, hold on. I just had an idea. Bring that to the next meeting so you can sell your cookbook at the meeting, or American Legion meeting, either one.
Well, yeah. Well, as soon as if we ever move that meeting,
we will. No, we're moving.
I would
in
love
August.
to. So,
in August, dude, you can set up a table anytime you want to sell that book. Anytime.
Mario, so in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, it's crazy. The American Legion and the VFW meet on the same exact night at the same exact time. So I have to choose. I'm a member of both. I'm a past commander of both. I have to pick and choose what meeting to go to.
Sure.
And Fleek, I just joined 141.
Hell yeah.
Jeremy McLean, God bless him, Marine captain, young like me, like us. He just said, "Welcome to 141." He just texted me yesterday. So I joined your group.
Were you voluntold?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I was actually voluntold at the Smyrna Air Show. They said, "Hey, why don't you join 141?"
Well,
I was like, okay.
Andrew Farr loves that shit, man. He loves.
Dude, I'm
there's
getting
a group
tired,
of veterans
man.
somewhere. I guarantee you, he'll be in the middle of it.
Yep. Dude, but I've been doing this for a long. I did IW for 3 years. I did, and that was rough. I mean, it took me 7 months, and we'll get into this with Mario's story. It took me 7 months to plan the national hike. Like, I had to take 2 months off just, and when Zach took over, dude, he blew it out of the water. Like, I had 225 people. I thought that was huge. He had 300 last year at a hike, walking down Nashville in silkies and flags. And I mean, Mario, he's the regional guy for all of our international hikes, all of them: Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, Germany, Normandy, England. I mean,
Do you travel all these?
No, I wish I could. So I do go to some of them. I mean, I hosted one of the first ones. I started the first hike, but I wish I could go to all of them. But I eventually will at least attend them all. But I wish I could.
A lot of money to go to those hikes. I mean, you got to drive. Detroit. I mean, Key West, Texas. There's like 5, and no, there's like how many? 3 in California? 4.
Yes. I mean, you got like San Jose, you got San Diego, now Huntington Beach.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a ton in California.
I mean, you got 8 in North Carolina. You've got you've got 8 in Texas. You've got 2 in Connecticut. Go ahead, Mario. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying North Carolina has a lot as well.
Dude, we were competing against each other. Like when Russell Oxley, who actually lives in Tennessee now, by the way, I saw him 2 weeks ago. He says hello.
Hello.
Hey, chaps, I'm still confused why Zach closed up his restaurant.
Because of COVID, and he was waiting out for a brick and mortar store, and he kept on trying to get them, and they always would go with like, a Whataburger or like one of those big name stores. But he's waiting 1 more year, and this, don't quote me on this. This is total scuttlebutt and hearsay. But he's waiting 1 more year, and then he's the people in his little area. They own a coffee shop. They renewed for a year, and they're not going to renew next year. So he's waiting 1 more year, and then Semper Sliders will be hopefully a brick and mortar in a year.
Why didn't he just stay where he's at for another year then?
Because he's tired, dude. He's been doing it for 6 years. Hardly any help. He's been busting his ass. No vacations, and he's got to get back to Alma and Daisy, his kid, and Alma, his wife. He's going to take a break, and he's teaching. He's teaching people how to cook at a vocational school, which is kind of cool.
A lot of work. I was lucky enough last year when I went to the Chief Petty Officers Association conference.
We were supposed to meet up, man.
Yeah, I know. It was so busy because I had conference, I had classes every day. But ironically, the hotel was across from Semper Sliders, and I texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm here," and he's like, "He gave me the location."
And I'm like, exactly where you stay too. Damn,
it's across the way.
Yeah.
So I walked over there. Ironically, when I went over to go, me and some friends went over to go get some food, he was doing his route recon. So I got to try Semper Sliders. Amazing. Zach's an amazing guy. Phenomenal.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Great tater tots. And the loaded tater tots are like to die for.
So does he still have a food truck or anything, or is he completely shut down?
No, he's taken that food truck. He's leasing it out to somebody else. And the first thing he said to those guys, you have to repaint this ISO container as soon as possible, because he doesn't want his brand, his name being mixed up. So I don't know. I'll go down on Musicville. I'll do a route recon and find out what's there now, but it's still going to be food. It's just not Zach.
I got you. Right on. All right.
And
so
he's giving it up to somebody. I don't know who he's giving up to, but behind the scenes, Zach is running Nashville. I don't know who's the leader, the coordinator for that for Nashville, but I don't know. Zach has got he's doing the same stuff as he did last year, so it's going to be a very fun hike. And guess what, Flake? It's on September 2nd.
You got to go.
No, I've got to marry Fleek's daughter on September 2nd.
Yeah, my daughter's getting married on that day.
Which I don't know. I don't even know what time. Okay, she hasn't even sent me a time. Like, I have no idea. Like, is it an all-day event? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, starts at 6 a.m. All right, so hey, we're sitting here with our very first puddle pirate.
Semper Paratus, Chief. Semper Paratus.
That's it. That's
it.
Right,
would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Mario Sima, active duty Coast Guard chief.
Yep.
So I currently live in Puerto Rico, stationed in San Juan. Been in for 20 years now. I just May 19th was my 20-year mark. So my story. So I grew up in Portland, Oregon, way out on the West Coast in Oregon. So rewind a number of years back, and really I grew up in Portland, went to Centennial High School, graduated in 2001. I had enrolled in a community college. I was enrolled in Mount Hood Community College. We used to call that Harvard on Stark. And so I had this dream. I wanted to be a police officer. I was, I don't know if you guys have explorers or cadets or anything like that where you're at. So I was one of those. I had this dream that I wanted to be a police officer. So I was doing that thing with the local police department. My dream was to do 2 years at a community college and then transfer to Oregon State University, and then come back home, become a police officer. And that's what I wanted to do. And then fast forward to September 11th, I remember my mom waking me up. I mean, I'm West Coast time, so it was in the morning. My mom wakes me up and she says, Mario, wake up. Something's going on. You need to see this on the TV. So I raced over to her bedroom, and, it's the old school tube TV way before we had the thin TVs, and I'm watching it. And the one tower had just been hit. And so we see the smoke. And as you guys all saw, and, on the news, CNN, Fox News, they were saying that, something had happened. It was maybe a small plane. Nobody really knew. So we're watching. And then I remember in that moment, boom, the other plane hits the tower. And immediately at that moment, we knew something was up. And so I remember text messages with friends, or I'm sorry, this is before text messages, phone calls, calling other friends, and
Razor phones. We had the Razor flip phones back
then. Something like that. I think I had a cell phone. Maybe we were doing text messages, but that was back. Remember, those were the days when you were limited in text messages.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I was in college and I got my first Razor silver flip phone. So yes, texting was available, but you had to hit the key like 6 times. Yeah.
So I was I was talking with friends, and we're like, we're all going in the military. And so fast forward, we're going to go in the milk. My parents are like, pump the brakes, and they're like, you need to go to college, and then we'll think about that later on. So I pumped the brakes a little bit. I go to college for, I think a year and a half, and I'm like, this ain't for me. I got to go in. And so I looked at all the different branches, and I still had this dream that I was going to be a police officer. So here's my idea. A guy that during the summers, I was a park ranger for the city of Portland. So they're glorified security. We were kind of enforcing the parks, kind of making sure transients weren't there, that kind of jazz. And so I had worked with a guy that was, I went to high school, and I think I worked with him at the park rangers, and he was a reservist, Coast Guard reservist in Portland. And he told me about the Coast Guard, and he was always talking it up, talking great things about it. And so I was like, I'm gonna look up the Coast Guard. So I got home, I think I got on AOL or something, and looked up.
Yeah, AOL.
AOL.
Yep.
Looked them up, looked up the Coast Guard. Exactly. And I was like, this is cool. They're, maritime law enforcement. They can do law enforcement with civilians because as you guys know, the other branches, you're not doing law enforcement with civilians. Otherwise you're violating the Posse Comitatus Act. But the Coast Guard has this weird dynamic where they still do that. The Posse Comitatus Act does not apply to the Coast Guard. And they're really into law enforcement and search and rescue. I was like, boom, that's what I want to do. So I looked up the local recruiter, and it's funny. It was the recruiting station was Portland, Oregon, but they were really in Vancouver, Washington. And if you're familiar with that area, it's like right on the other side. Exactly. Just right there. So
I've been to Vancouver. It's a very interesting city.
Yeah. So I drive over there, and of course I don't know, the hours, and I get them, they're closed, and it's just a kind of a strip mall of different recruiting stations, and they're closed. And so I look at, the times, and like, okay, I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm going to be here at 8. So I show up there at 8 the next day, go in there, start chatting with the recruiter, and then the ball rolls. And before I know it, I'm going to MEPS. And then I remember them sitting me down, and they asked me the question, did you have asthma? Well, I had asthma like when I was like in middle school, and they're like, all right, pump the brakes. Hold on a second. We got to put in a waiver. So they put in the waiver. A couple months later, the approval comes back. I got to go to this doctor, and I have to do this challenge. You breathe in a tube. It's called like a methacolin challenge. Yep. Mm-hmm. Determine, if you really do or don't. And I think I was just a fat kid. My parents were like, you got asthma, So I don't have it. So I'm approved. So I remember I had a ship date, something like in August. This is 2003. My ship date was in August. So I'm in delayed entry program. And then I remember I'm pushing carts at a local supermarket called Fred Meyer's. And I remember that we were amping up for the war in Iraq. And I remember in the electronics section, there was a bunch of TVs, and they were always playing them, And I remember everybody coming in from pushing like 70 shopping carts in. And I look to my right where this electronics section, and I see everybody glued to the TV, and it's the shock and awe. And we're like, holy crap, what is going on? And so obviously the war's starting. Shock and awe is going down. I get home, no lie, and I get a phone call. This is like probably 6 or 7 at night. I get a phone call from my recruiter, and she's like, there's an opening. You want to go May? And I go,
imagine that.
Imagine that. Shocker. Shock and awe. So I was like, yep, I want to go. I want to go as quick as possible. So they give me a ship date of May 19th. So fast forward, I think this might have been, it wasn't that much longer. And so here I am. I remember going to MEP, signing the papers just like we all did. And then on a plane to Philadelphia, they put us all in the USO, waiting for all the other kids to get there. And then once we all got there, the bus took us all to Cape May, New Jersey. And then my life started right there. And
Cape May. Woo.
Cape May, New Jersey. So ours was 8 weeks. So I was there for 8 weeks. And then, and then I got orders for Mobile, Alabama. I specifically, I wanted to go as far away from home. I wanted to go experience life. I wanted to go see different things. And so here I am. I'm this kid from Portland, Oregon, never been to the South. I think my parents took us on like vacation to Florida, to Disney World once. And that was my experience with the South, And so here I am. I remember walking on the ship, checking in like at noon or 1300 on a Friday. Everybody's got liberty. Everybody's pretty much gone. So it's like the officer of the day and like a couple grunts that are on the boat, these couple seamen on there. So I walk on, I'm checking in, And the officer of the day takes my paperwork and he's like, all right, this guy here, Fries, he's going to show you around. And so Fries, they called him French Fry, was this like 6 foot tall kid from Arkansas. It was like this big, French Fry. And I remember they were like, all right, go change out, go get your civvies. Fries are going to take you around. And so I change out. They give me my, my berthing area. Here's my rack. Here's where you can put your stuff. And I remember coming out and he's like, all right, but I'm fitting to go to the store. And I was like, why are you, what did you say? He's like, I'm fixing to go to the store. And I was like,
fixing.
Why are you fixing the store? And he's like, no, I'm fixing the store. I'm fixing to go to the store. I'm like, homie, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I'm getting ready to go to the store. I'm like, well, why don't you just say that? So that was my first experience. Exactly, yeah. French Fry was John Farschetti, and he was from Texarkana, Arkansas. But he was in my room, and he became one of my great friends. Just a goofy guy, but yeah, that was my experience in Mobile.
What kind of ship was that?
It was a construction tender. I think it was like 163 feet long. I could something like that. It was a construction tender. It was basically what it was a barge and a pusher composite that was welded together. And so our job down there was called aids and navigation. So all those piles and the aids, like the day board and the light that you see out in the water. So our job was to go out there and repair those because they'd get knocked down. A barge would knock them over, or whether like Hurricane Katrina, stuff like that, knock them down. So our job was to go in there and punch them back in the water, put the lights on. So all of us grunts to get on there, nailing them all, putting the lights on and all that jazz. So my job on the boat, I was an engineer, I was a fireman. And what's different about the Coast Guard is that, like in the Navy or the other branches, when you graduate boot camp, you're going right to your A school, or your tech school, or you've already got an MOS designated. And the Coast Guard's unique. Usually you don't. You're what you guys would call a non-designated. Everybody usually goes to the fleet as a seaman or fireman, and then you have the opportunity to see the different rates real hand. So it's not a recruiter selling you, hey man, don't you want to be a cook, or don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do that? And then you get to your job and you're like, I don't really like this. So they give us the opportunity to really see those jobs firsthand.
Wow. That's nice. That's nice. I would have that.
So I get to the boat. I'm an engineer. So my primary job was working in the engine room with the other mechanics. And so I did that I was on the boat for just shy of a year. And I remember they were critically filling the storekeeper rate. So those of you out there that don't know what the SK is like logistics, contracting, purchasing, inventory, warehouse, that kind of logistics. And so
box kicker, we call them box kickers in the
box kicker.
Box kicker.
Yeah, those guys, box kickers.
I get paper cuts for a living.
Hey, it's a great job. You guys give us Benchmates, Gerbers, those goggles that we had in the sand, OSS goggles. Is that right?
Yep. ESS.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's been 19 years since I wore a pair of ESS goggles. My bad, Marines. I'm so sorry.
And so that particular rate was critical in the moment. And so a kid that I was in the boat with, so we used to have the striker rate. They don't have that anymore, but the striker rate was some of the specific rates you could do on the job training. And then once you accumulated you got your sign-offs to show that you could do that job, you would take a test. If you took the test, then you're a third-class petty officer. There was a kid that I was on my boat that he was striking storekeeper, and he was like, hey, dude, this is a really good opportunity. If you get out, it opens up the door to a lot of different things. And I remember before I left for boot camp, you know how they had a chaperone all of us at the hotel? There was like a chaperone from MEPS that made sure we didn't do anything squirrely, and we got on the bus.
Yeah.
And
Florida. That was in Orlando.
And the chaperone, ironically, was a Marine. And he was like, hey, I'm going to give you a recommendation. Pick a job that relates to the outside. And so I never forgot that. And so I was like, that's kind of a unique, smart idea about looking about it. So this job is critical. I hear about it. My executive petty officer, he's a bosun mate chief, because our CO was a chief warrant officer, or XO or executive petty officer was a bosun mate chief. And he told me they got a message saying that, hey, this rate was critical. And so I went up to him and said, I'm interested in going storekeeper. So he's like, okay, I'll put you on the list. And so the next week I had orders. I was leaving the next month. It was that fast. I had orders for A school. So I think I only did 11 months on that boat. So I took off from Mobile and then went to A school in Petaluma, California. I was there for a couple months, and you learn, the trades, ins and outs of the systems and all that jazz. And then I ended up in North Bend, Oregon. There was a guy that I was in school with.
Where were you at? Where'd you go?
This was Petaluma. Well, school was in Petaluma, and then after that, I went to North Bend, Oregon. It's not
okay.
If you're familiar, it gets really confusing. So people think Bend, Oregon, which is Eastern Oregon. North Bend is actually Coos Bay, down south on the water. It's weird. The name is North Bend, but it's really down south, Coos Bay.
Okay.
So, but I ended up there because since I had sea time, I was on a higher picking list. I could pick where I wanted to go before most people. I think I was like number 2. And initially I had picked Miami, Florida.
Ooh, nice.
Right. And so this other kid that I was in school with, he was begging me. He's like, I want to go back home. I haven't seen my family in forever. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go back home. You go home, I'll go home. So I took North Bend, Oregon, and I go there, and it was an air station. So I think we had 3 MH-65 Dolphins. And so my job there was I purchased and did logistics we had some small boat stations, surf stations in the area. And we had a cutter in the area, a 110 that was responsible for that whole AOR. And then we had 2 or 3 aircrafts. And so I ended up migrating into aviation supply. And so my job was ensuring that every part and piece for the aircraft was regularly inventoried. So if a mechanic came in and said, I need this widget, my job was to go in there, pull that part and give it to them so that they could repair this. Essentially, we had almost every single part. I mean, to the wing, the engines, the diodes, everything for that aircraft. So if something comes off, they can pull that part off, and I could give them that part. I mean, I'd regularly remember aircraft engines and wings coming in and having to forklift these things. And here I am, I'm this like 21-year-old kid forklifting this, $1 million engine, and $1 million aircraft wings. And I remember one time forklifting, I'm like, I'm 21 years old, and they gave me, the responsibility of $1 million, right here. So I was in North Bend for some time. I was 3 years, and then I made E5. I make E5. At that time, they were clearing the list. Everybody was making. If you took the test, the service wide, you were making E5 like that. They were just clearing the list. This is 2006, I think. So I made
Not me. I did not make E5 in 2006. Nope, not me.
Yeah, and so I picked up E5, and there was a critical fill for a small boat station, for a lifeboat station. So I go down there, and it was an hour south in Chetco River, which is the last city in Oregon. It's also known as like Harbor, Oregon. So I was right there on the border of Oregon and California. And so I was an independent duty storekeeper there. So I was the only SK, reported directly to the executive petty officer. And so I maintained a lot of the supplies, bought all the boat parts. So down at that station, we had 2 or 3 47 motor lifeboats. And these lifeboats are crazy. They go right over the surf. They're self-righting. And so some of the bosun mates that are there, they have a special technical skill called surfman. So they can like cross the bar when nobody else can. So when a boat's out there sinking and the weather is like horrible, those guys are going out. And they used to have this saying back in the day was, you have to go out, but you don't have to come back. We don't really look at it that way anymore. Those is old school stuff. Right. But I mean, these guys are extremely skilled. And I remember one day, this was in December, probably like 2006, 2007, and the captain of the port, so the sector commander who was up in North Bend, who was in charge of a large AOR, multiple surf stations, he could shut down the bar to recreational and commercial vessels. And when I say bar, I mean like the jetty. So you got a jetty that goes out there where the waves crash. And so they shut it all down because the weather was just horrendous. We had nearly like hurricane gale force winds. And so I came in that morning, I'm sitting there drinking coffee, and I see the surfman running by and freaking out. I was like, what's happened? And they said, there's an idiot crossing the bar. He's in a little John boat with a 5 horsepower engine. And he says he's going to Hawaii. so I run out.
Said, peace out, bro. Call us when you get there.
Yeah. So I get this. We had the smoke pit was on the backside. Like you had a direct view of the jetty and everything. And I run out there and I see both like 2 or 3 47s taken off. They're taking off. They've got the blue light going. And I see this little boat with this guy with a little outboard motor. And I see the waves crashing, just crashing. And this dude takes off and somehow he manages to get over it. I don't know, the grace of God's. Like it comes down, he manages to get through. I mean, that it should have flipped over. He gets over, both these 47s, they cross. And I remember they were chasing him forever. I mean, I went in the command center and I'm listening to them all talking and everything. Local police is coming down and chatting with our guys, and they're coming up with a game plan. They're talking, to higher command. What are we going to do? What are we going to, what's the safe way to get this? And I can hear them yelling at this guy. And long story short, hours later, they finally arrest the guy. But he was determined. They were like, stop the boat. And he's like, I'm going to Hawaii. I don't know how he planned on getting there. He certainly didn't have the fuel.
Right.
Yeah. So that was one crazy story I had when I was at the small boat station. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All the way there. So
hey, they have that fight or die thing. You try and go to Hawaii, 4 people on a boat. Yeah, that doesn't work. That didn't work out so well for the Air Force crew this past year. All right. I don't know if you heard about those guys.
No.
You didn't see it, Mario?
No, I did not.
Their ocean-going boat, it's a 4-man row thing, and it capsized, and they were in the water for like 2 weeks. And there was this Belgian or Dutch ship and got them, and then they went to Canada. Dude, these Air Force guys were going this way, and they're supposed to go this way to Hawaii, and they were like so off course. Sorry, the only reason I know that.
Doing in a boat.
Hey, listen, somebody, and I'm not going to say who, somebody tried to get me to do this.
Wow.
And row from California to Hawaii. And in like 6 months' time, we had to raise $250,000 and maybe practice like once a month. I'm like, no, definitely not. I mean, the red flag. You need to train for like 4 years to do that. And he was very adamant about doing it. I was like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I could have died. I could be out there. I could not be even here.
Yeah, you could have. You never know. Or you listen to
it. Got to listen to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard, they know the water, just like what's that movie? The Coast Guard movie. I love that movie.
Which
with
you mean,
Kevin
Guardian?
Costner, The Guardian.
Yeah,
freaking awesome movie. I love that movie.
It's funny. I actually have the poster around the corner. One of my best buddies. He's an aviation survival technician. He gave it to me.
Dude, hey, Kevin Costner made the movie. Ashton Kutcher,
did.
Probably not so much. I mean, it's Ashton Kutcher. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Sorry.
So I think they made Kevin Costner honorary chief, actually.
No way. Well, he deserves it. He's a dude. I love that.
Oh, yeah, he did a killer job for sure. I mean, that movie really did recruiting. I mean, so when that movie came out, everybody wanted to be an AST. You got all these kids coming in like, I want to be a swimmer. Like, good luck.
I did. I tried.
Yeah.
And guess what? The Coast Guard said, nope, we don't want you. I went to the Savannah one, and they were like, you're 50% disabled. I'm like, you've had 3 combat tours. You got a Purple Heart. Nah, we're good. We're all full. We're good. I'm like, fuck. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I hear it's really, really, really tough to get into the Coast Guard. I mean, extreme, like tougher than the Navy, tougher than the Air Force. I mean, it's, super hard compared to the Army. Just kidding. Just kidding, soldiers. Calm down.
I mean, the ASVAB rate is high, but I would say if anybody wants to go in any branch of service, right now is the time for sure. If you want to go in, now is the time. But yeah,
Old, too broken.
Right. Yeah. So So I did a couple years in Brookings, and then my time was up, and I remember putting in my dream sheet. And I put down a bunch of, shoreside, shore billets and everything. And my detailer calls me up and she's like, pick one of these two boats. You're going to sea. And so I went to a buoy tender, and a buoy, it's primarily like a big work boat, if you've ever seen anything what that looks like. And so our job was, again, I kind of got back into the aids and navigation world. And so primarily on that boat, this was the Coast Guard cutter Henry Blake at a naval station, Everett. So we're one of two Coast Guard boats on the big Navy base up in Everett. We got like aircraft carriers there. You got destroyers, cruisers, and you got these little tiny Coast Guard boats. And our boat was, so it was the Henry Blake. So we primarily did all buoys. So those, buoys that you see floating out in the water. So some of the, not the ocean-going buoys, because the ocean-going buoys sea-going buoys were much, much further out. More inshore stuff. Some stuff that like we're in bays and relatively inshore. Because the thing with those buoy tenders is they're kind of flat bottom. So you can imagine when you're getting out really far out there, how much that stuff rocks. It was like in a bathtub. So I did a few years on the Henry Blake, a lot of fun. I remember going to like Fleet Week in Portland, was a blast. Fleet Week was insane. I mean, it was us, the Navy. We even had the Army Corps of Engineers. They have, ironically, Army has a lot of big ships. So the Army Corps Engineer brought their big dredging ship in, and there was a bunch of Army sailors walking off.
Wow, that's a contradiction in fucking terms. Exactly. If I ever heard one. They don't even deserve to be on that ship.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that the Army.
That's a slap in your face, man. That is a slap in your face,
right?
Sir.
Right? Allegedly, the Army has more boats. I don't know if that's true, but I have heard that. I don't know, Richard, have you heard that before?
I think I have heard that, but their boats, they have boats. We have ships, man. Come on.
Yeah, a little different. Their boat was drastically bigger than ours, though.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So so did a few years there, and then so I had sea time. So my detailer, I remember I did really well on my service wide. So we were looking at, I was number 3, and they knew, it pretty much looking like I was going to make E6. So I remember my detailer, I'm coming to work one day, and me and a bunch of guys, we would all carpool from housing. And then one of the watchstanders comes out. I remember seeing him walking out of the boat, and he's like, "Hey, Mario, hey, the detailer's on the phone." So I grab my bag, and I'm running right up to the bridge. I grab the phone and talking to the detailer, and the detailer is in DC, and his job is to determine where we're going. And he says, "Hey, so I got a good deal for you. How does Charleston sound?" I said, "Sounds great. Go to Charleston."
Nice.
So I got in my mind, I'm going to Charleston. I'm already, looking up online like houses and where I want to go. And so we get underway. And I remember getting a call from the detailer. We weren't too far out, so I could still get phone calls. And I remember getting a call. We were inshore. I see a 202 area code, and I knew, shoot, that's DC. This is DC. So I answer the call, and detailer tells me, he says, "I got good news and I got bad news. What do you want?" I go, "Just give me the bad news." And he goes, "Well, you're not going to Charleston." And he goes, "But I'm going to work with you. What do you want?" And I go, I don't want to go anywhere cold, and I ain't going to Alaska." And he goes, "How about San Diego?" And I go, "Yep, that's it right there. That's the one." So he's like, "Okay, you'll have orders in 10 minutes. I'm going to be contacting your XO." So I run down to my XO stateroom, and I let him know, "Hey, you should be getting a notification. I'm going to be getting orders for San Diego. If you can, email them to me." And so sure enough, I got orders for San Diego. Head down to San Diego. It was a blast. And that's where I ended up meeting my amazing wife. I was stationed down there it's funny, I was down. So I was still in E5 because at that time, They were doing a lot of they weren't a lot of cuts military wise. And so I remember the cut came out for E6. Now, mind you, I'm number 3. The cut was 0. They weren't making anybody across the board. And I think this was maybe like 2012, something like that. They weren't making anybody. So I transfer as an E5 down to San Diego. I'm in an E5 billet, and I'm there for 2 years, and then they revise those cuts, and I make E6. So I'm E6 in like 2013, and my detailer lets me know, you're fine. You're going to stay as an E6. Don't worry. We're not going to transfer out. I know you love San Diego. You've only been there for a couple of years. Fast forward 6 months. I'm dating my wife, my now wife. We've been dating for a while. And I come in the morning and I get an email from the detailer that says, I'm sorry, you are rotating. You're rotating this summer. It's like, what the heck, man? So
liars. All of them. Detailers are liars.
Exactly.
Just like
right?
recruiters.
Right?
Yeah,
Just like recruiters, used car salesmen.
Oh, yeah. You'll love the Marine Corps. You'll love being a grunt.
Right? Yeah. And so I understand that I'm not going to win this fight. The detailer is going to win because that's the way it is. The Coast Guard or the military fills vacancies. When you accept that next rank, that's the way it is. And so I tell them that my kids live in the up in the Northeast, up in the Boston area, and I would love to be in that area so I can be close to my kids. And so he says, hey, the best I can do I can give you the Coast Guard Academy. So I call my girlfriend at the time and I said, it's not San Diego. I was trying to get LA. What do you think about New London, Connecticut? And she's like, is it close to kids? Yep, let's do it. So we drive across country. It was amazing. Driving from San Diego. We did the northern route. So we left San Diego. We hit Vegas, Salt Lake City, Yellowstone. If you've never got the opportunity, I highly recommend. Yellowstone is amazing. We traveled across country. We went to Mount Rushmore, South Dakota, North Dakota, Chicago, New York City, whole 9 yards. Get to the academy. Academy is a different dynamic. Service academies, it's very different because it's a college, like you went to college, but it's a military setting. So these kids who come in at 18 years old and they're going to college, but they're wearing uniforms everywhere and they're marching to class. But it's so interesting that they have different rules. So, for example, they can't walk on the sidewalk until I think it's like a junior or senior. And they have these tunnels. So knowing how cold the Northeast is, outside is freezing. When I got there, I had never experienced cold. It gets cold in Oregon, but not -10.
Right.
I mean, the first winter I had in New London, Connecticut, it was -10. And when I say I feel it in the bones, I felt it in the bones.
Dude, you try New Hampshire. It's a little bit colder up there. But dude, you were in New England.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I miss New England more than life itself. I grew up there.
Really?
I mean, Exeter, New Hampshire. That's where I lived. That's where I played hockey.
Right.
I'm just jealous that you were New London. Isn't that where Yale is? Yale is there. Right?
New Haven.
New Haven.
Yep. Close, but no cigar.
Hey, what's that? So did you get to travel around that area?
I did, yeah. So one thing that we love to do is travel the area, want to experience the area. In fact, locals are from there, you guys have seen more places than we've ever seen. So we would take regular trips to New Haven. In fact, we actually checked out Yale. Yale has an amazing, you can get tours and they'll walk you around the area, and they got ghost tours and all that jazz. So we were 2 hours from Boston and 2 hours from New York City. And so we made friends. With a Navy couple. So right across from the Coast Guard Academy is a submarine base. And so made friends with them, and they were from Queens, New York. So we would make, once a month, we'd all go down to Queens and go hang out in New York and go check that out. Boston all the time. We did not make it to New Hampshire. I regret that. I regret not going to New Hampshire. But the one thing I really missed about the Northeast was the Big E. So I'm used to the West Coast where you have a state fair, and it's Oregon State Fair or California State Fair or Washington State Fair. They do the Big E where they knock out all those New England ones. So it's in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yep, Western Mass.
Yep. And so what's unique is they have this row of all the capitals, like miniature capitals. When I say miniature, they're just much smaller, but it looks just like the capital of that state. And they have a roll of all of them. And you go into each one, and there's like, you get a lobster roll from like Massachusetts. You go to Maine, you get like the syrup and all that jazz. But that was something that I really, really missed out of the Northeast, was the Biggie, which was like every September or something. And so we would always hit that. But yeah, so when I was at the academy, what's unique about the academy is that every year they have graduation or commencement, like all the service academies. And so all of the different head honchos, like the president, the vice president, secretary of defense, secretary of homeland security, they all cycle through those service academies. And so one year I think it was 2017, we knew the president was coming. And so it was like a couple days before or something. And so my command master chief, he says, hey, just be prepared for a call. Like you might be meeting the guest speaker for commencement. I was like,
oh God, nice.
What?
Very nice.
What? And so sure enough, the operations officer, was a commander. I think his title was operations officer. Anyhow, he calls me like 2 days before graduation, and he says, hey, I need your social right now. For what? And he's like, Secret Service is doing a background on you right now. I'm like, okay. So so they do their thing, and so the next day I get this email. It says, you're after graduation, you're going to walk over in this place, and you're going to go meet the president. Okay. So
which president was it at the time?
It was President Trump. And,
yeah.
And I don't care what anybody's political affiliation is. It's just neat that, I was provided the opportunity.
Yeah.
So right after graduation, we were directed to go around the corner. And so I walk over to this area, and I remember this agent walks up to me, and he's like, stay with me. Don't leave my ass. I was like, okay. And I mean, I'm not a very tall person. I'm like 5'9". This guy, I swear to God, he was like 7 feet tall. And he just walks up, whisked me through the room. And I'll never forget when I got to it was like the lobby, and I see the entire White House staff, the commandant of the Coast Guard, and they're all staring at me. And so, I'm walking behind the Secret Service, just sift through. And as I walk through the doors, the Secretary of Homeland Security walks out, and I just look at him, and he looks down at me, and I go, it is an honor to meet you, Mr. Secretary. And he gives me a thumbs up. I was like, oh my God. Wow. I walk in, and there's presidents back there. And I remember walking up, and the Secret Service agent, he's like, you ready to meet him? I go, yeah. And he goes, go see him. So I walk up there, I shake his hand, and immediately he was very cordial. He says, it's an honor to meet you. And I said, no, Mr. President, it is an honor to meet you. Thank you for everything you do. And I turn around, and I realize there's a wall of White House photographers. And I just see all the photos, and then they whisk you out. And another buddy of mine, he was also one of the guys picked to see the president. And we walk out, and I was like, Nick, pinch yourself. Did that really happen? We just met the president. And all of that, it felt like 30 seconds. It was just rapid fast.
Did you get a coin from him?
Yeah.
Bro. Wow, dude, we were like on the same wavelength, man.
I didn't. So I didn't get his. So at the time I was the president of the Enlist Association. I did give him his coin. I didn't get his coin, which I was not dismayed by. I just thought it was neat. So like a month later, you get your official photo. But I was honored that I was the only
dude. That is so cool.
I was the only junior enlisted person from the academy. I was honored that they picked me. I did not know that was happening. And then the next year, the vice president, it was Pence, was coming through, and same thing. I was told, hey, you need to be in this place at this time. Oh, okay. So this go around, it was a little bit different. It was like, it felt like Disneyland, like walking through. And I remember walking up. It was funny. They, go ahead, go walk up. And so I walked up to see him, and, he's like, yeah, he says, what's your name? And I said my name, and, talked to him for a second. And I gave him at the time, I was still the vice president of the Enlisted Association for that branch, that area. And I gave him our rating coin, which was a storekeeper coin. I gave him our SK coin and and the branch coin we had for list association. And he looks down at them and he goes, "What are these?" And I told him what they were, and he goes, "These will be in the White House tonight." And I remember, so there was blinding lights, so you couldn't really see who was in the backdrop, but there was photographers back there. And I remember in the corner, because I'm talking to him, and in the corner of my eye, I see this guy walk up, and I'll never forget the red tie on this person. It was clearly, must have been his agent or something. He palms him, and then he shakes my hand, and I look down, and I have the vice president's coin, and I was like, holy crap.
Dude, everybody's buying you drinks forever.
Yeah, and for real.
I remember walking out, and the CEO of the academy is an admiral, and he had his cook, and the cook was a friend of mine, and he goes, "Hey, did you just get a coin?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "That is awesome." He goes, "I haven't seen anybody else get them." And I was like, "Wow." That was a pretty neat situation. So that coin is definitely at the top of my coin list.
Dude, that's higher than Seknav's coin. I mean, that's big time.
I have Seknav's coin.
I bet you do.
Wow, that's pretty cool too. The Secretary of Navy, that's an awesome coin.
I got Berger's coin. Okay, he gave it to me a couple months ago.
That's awesome.
Commandant of America, which he retires this year, so they got to pick a new commandant.
Wow,
General Eric, I think.
Maybe. What's so cool about coins is that all of them are so unique, and when you look at coins, there's a story behind every single coin.
Yep.
Someone will say, "Oh, what's that coin? Where'd you get that?" And you have a story for each one.
Yeah.
That's what I find fascinating. It's like, I don't know if you guys are the same, but you kind of become a coin collector. Once you got one, then you want another. You want another.
Dude, I went on the Smyrna Army base to buy one of those coin racks because I have so many. I need to go buy another one because I've got a shit ton of coins.
Sure.
And I need someone to make me like a really cool coin holder, I think.
There's so many neat ones. I mean, now with the designs that are out, I mean, my wife, she got me a flag one for, I think it was for Father's Day a couple of years ago. And they're so cool, so unique, and people can make them at home now with all the, the home lays and the CNC, all those different machines and everything. Yeah. It's really cool. But yeah, so that was my time. Another really neat, well,
wait, when did you, so how did you get from New Haven? Did you go right to Puerto Rico? Sorry, this is very interesting. Dude, your story is freaking titillating. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you say titillating?
I did say titillating. I did.
So from New London, I remember it was our last year there. It must have been, it was like winter of 2018. And I remember the winter's brutal again in the Northeast. We lived in Norwich, which was a little bit inland. And so the snow was a little bit thicker out in Norwich.
860, right?
What's that?
Did you have an 860?
860, correct. Yep, 860.
My wife still has an 860 area code in her phone.
Really?
She lived in, I think, Stamford.
Okay, yep. Well, Stamford is a little bit, I think Stamford is closer to New York City, but that general AOR kind of.
Yeah, she was Connecticut. She still has that number. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so it was like 2018, getting into our last year in the Northeast. We would be transferring in 2019. And I remember the winter, it was a brutal one. And I remember opening up the garage and the foot, it had to be like 4 feet. It was a lot. Maybe, I'm probably exaggerating, probably like 3.5. But it was a lot that me and my wife looked at each other and she goes, "I'm done doing this. I'm done." And so I said, we're going to Puerto Rico. And ironically, so Maria had happened in 2017. I got deployed down here for about 30 days. And it was terrible what would happen down here, but the weather was amazing. I would never forgot, the food, the culture, all that stuff, and how much I liked it down here. And my wife had taken a trip previously and she had a great time. And so I said, you know what? We're putting in for Puerto Rico. So when I put in my dream sheet that following October, we put down Puerto Rico as, I think it was like our number 3. We were trying to go overseas stuff. We had put down like activities Europe, which is in like Amsterdam, and then activities Far East, which is in Japan. And then number 3 and number 4 was Puerto Rico. And ironically, I got Puerto Rico, and we were excited. So we elected to come down to Puerto Rico, came down here in 2019. I was at a small boat station right there in San Juan, and we loved it. And so when I made chief, we were like, we want to stay. And so I knew that the chief billet was opening up. The person that was there was leaving. And so I literally just emailed the detailer, and I was like, I'm very interested in it. And I know that you guys struggle to get people here. And yeah, it worked out. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I understand your situation. You got a good shot at it. You have, a decent priority, all 9 yards. And I lucked out. And so I literally walked from one building to the adjacent building. And so we ended up staying here. So we did back-to-back tours in Puerto Rico, and we're still here. We love it. Are
you yourself Puerto Rican?
I am not. I'm Italian. Ironically, Mario, people a lot of times, yeah. So I both my
your
parents.
Last name, I could have sworn. I thought your last name was Puerto Rican. Sorry,
Yeah, absolutely.
My bad.
Yeah, no. It's very common. A lot of times, like, people ask me, "Are you Puerto Rican?" As Puerto Ricans, there's a variety of Puerto Ricans. I mean, you have Spanish, you have the Taino, and you have African Americans. So it's a variety. It's not just one, particular type of people. There's all kinds of, people here in Puerto Rico. And so, but yeah, my family's all from Puerto Rico.
How far are you from where the like the Carnival ships port?
So my unit is right in San Juan, so it's smack right there. So you can literally see right there. You can see all the cruise ships.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait,
I've been there twice.
I think I'm gonna be there in December.
Okay.
Mario.
Yep.
I'm
all right.
I'm looking up on my cruise data where I'm actually gonna be. You guys can keep talking. It's okay.
We're waiting for you, man.
Okay.
Sorry. Yep. San Juan. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep. I'll be right there. I'll see you right there.
Now you got to tell me what should I do? The accessible panoramic San Juan, the Campo Rico ATV adventure.
No, just walk around and enjoy this city, man.
The Casa Bacardi experience.
So the Bacardi experience is great. Ironically, my mom just came down and we took her over there. It is cool. Some would say it's not really Puerto Rican rum. It's good. It is good. It's definitely a neat experience. I would say when you get off, go walk around, go check out like El Morro, the castles, Castillo San Felipe. Those castles, I mean, they're so amazing. They're they're old Spanish. I mean, at one time there was a
try to catch an iguana.
You'll see plenty of those. You absolutely will. I would say definitely walk around. You've got beaches that are within Uber driving distance.
Beach break. Is that like a big thing? San Juan City and beach break. It's a break on a beach. Never mind.
It's probably taking you guys to Escambron, which is right there in Old San Juan.
Okay. And then there's the Rum
Barlito. It's good. I recommend that one.
Good to go.
Barlito is a good one. There you go. I recommend that one.
Honey, we got an excursion in Puerto Rico. Sorry, she's in the next room.
There you go.
Dude, we definitely got to meet up. That'd be awesome. Yeah. We're there for like maybe 7 hours, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll definitely. And you're going to be here when again?
It's November, December.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Just let me know ahead of time. But we'll definitely have to hang out for sure.
We will.
It's a good time. Yep. Yeah, I'm right there, right around the corner.
Okay. Good. And there's is it regular cell phone service?
It is. It is. Okay. So yeah, it's a U.S. territory.
Okay,
so,
good to go. Sorry, I've never been to Puerto Rico.
Does the Coast Guard actually have like a base there, or you?
We do. Yep. Yeah. So it's right at the end of the street's called La Pontina, like the end of the spit, right there it's right there in Old San Juan, right at the end. So when his cruise ship's coming in, he's going to round the corner. He's going to go right by us. He'll see it.
Oh,
it's been down there forever.
Dude, see you at work. Give you a salute and everything.
Absolutely.
I got a coin for you now. Actually,
Okay.
I'm giving you one of my coins, or
There
one of
we
our
go.
post coins.
It's not
There
as
we
cool
go.
as Pence's coin, but
No, it's
still
not.
coin.
It's like, dude, it's like this big.
That's
And
awesome.
like
I want to see it.
we're charging $10. And it's
Nice.
shaped like a cannon.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to see it for sure.
Okay.
But,
Good to go.
But yeah, when you come in, I'll give you guys a tour. I'll show you the whole place and everything. It's cool. But the bases down there, it's smaller than Navy bases and Marine Corps bases, but they've been there for a long time. It's so historic and so neat. We got a lot of construction going on right down there right now. They're remodelizing a lot of the buildings. The buildings are old, and Maria did some damage and the earthquakes. So they're really doing a lot of upkeep to the base. But the really iconic special piece of that base is our Chiefs hut. So we have, Richard, that Chiefs, they have a Chiefs mess. So it's an area where the senior NCOs can go, and exactly, yeah. And so our Chiefs mess is a unique, and it's super special. It's right on the beach. It's this
Nice.
Chiefs hut. So I'll have to show it to you. It's super cool. Yeah.
Man, see, I love the Marine Corps, but man, the Navy, like, you guys have the same, like Coast Guard, they have the same rank, same rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like in the Navy, I know the bosun's mate is the oldest MOS in the Navy. Is that the same for the Coast Guard?
I believe
Bosun's
so.
mate?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the originals.
Crossed anchors, right?
Correct. Yep, crossed anchors.
See,
And,
Fleek, I pay attention. I love you guys, man. The
Exactly.
Navy's awesome.
Well, it's because we used to give you a paycheck every other week.
Yeah. Right. The Department of the Navy still gives us a paycheck.
It's
that's
funny.
true.
My grandfather, one of my grandfathers, he was in the Navy, and he was in the Korean War. And I remember him telling me that when he went to payday, he had to be in dress uniform, get inspected, and he got paid cash. And so he told me that if your uniform is jacked up, they said, get back, square your uniform away.
And
You
then
didn't
you
get paid until your uniform was squared away. Yeah.
Bursting officers, those bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So,
kidding. So that dude, hey, Mario, that's really cool. And this next question is going to lead up into what you're doing now. But when is the next Irreverent Warrior Puerto Rico hike?
So it's not official yet. It's not out there.
Okay.
But it is going to be potentially at the beginning of next year.
January, right? January, February?
February.
Okay.
Yeah, so Puerto Rico, I highly recommend coming
Is
down.
it in San Juan?
It is in San Juan, correct? Yep.
New San Juan or Old San Juan?
Old San Juan, in the Old San Juan area. It's what's so unique about Irreverent Warriors. I'll go into Irreverent Warriors. Basically,
please do. Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat. I just can't wait for you to talk about IW.
So Irreverent Warriors. So let me back up how I got involved in Irreverent Warriors. So when I was stationed in Connecticut, I Duck Apazzi, you know him, and I was friends with him, and he was at my house one day, and he said, "Hey brother, I want you to come out to this military only hike on Saturday." And I said, "Okay." So I had no idea what I'm getting myself into. So he picks me up in his truck that morning, and we walk up to the registration area. We go to the parking lot, registration's there. And as soon as I walk up, I feel the energy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is different. Okay. I not know what I'm getting myself into. And so we step off, and immediately at step off, everybody's having a great time. They're engaging with each other, talking with each other. The hike was phenomenal. So I'm on this hike, right? This hike high. And so afterwards, we, you know it. We have the post-hike blues. The next day, you're like, man, I really have a case of the post-hike blues. I want to go on my next hike. This was just phenomenal. When is the next one? So, ironically, I get stationed in Puerto Rico, and so I get to Puerto Rico, and I'm like, there's got to be a chapter here. There's not. So I have it in my mind. I'm like, we're going to bring Irreverent Warriors to Puerto Rico. So I'm chit-chatting. I think I started talking to Mark Herzog. I might have talked to him.
Mark. Yeah.
I think I might have
What's up,
texted
Mark?
him. As I think I talked to Doug, and Doug got me in with Mark, and we're chit-chatting around, and Doug connects me in.
Mark's a Navy guy, by the way. He's huge.
Nice.
I mean, he's a bigger fan of the Navy than you are.
So I had
tough to do.
I had Doug. I think he connected me at one point with Mark, and I'm chit-chatting, and then Doug is chatting with Cindy and Nate and kind of telling them about it, and so they all connect me with Cindy and Nate, and Doug gets me. And before I know it, I got an email, and Cindy and Nate tell me, "Hey, you got a video interview, on this date. Tell us about yourself and tell us what your plan is." And so I literally am at work, and I remember telling my senior chief, I'm like, "I'm going to go in the car and I'm going to go video and throw this out there. Wish me good luck." And he's like, "See you later." So I hop in my car, and I'm sitting in there videoing with them, and laying it out them and basically telling them that Puerto Rico really needs this. And I want to say I got in touch with them in like 2020. So this is like kind of like mid-COVID time. And
2020.
2020.
That was my, yeah.
It was a rough time. And so I'm telling them, I know we can pull this off. In Puerto Rico, it's one thing is it's really about networking. And so long story short, they get us greenlit. And so a lot of networking with the mayor, governor's office. We had to, we ended up pulling off the hike in June of 2021. We had to have, 12 permits in 2021 to have the hike. So we had to get cleared from the governor, the mayor, Puerto Rico Police Department, San Juan Police Department, the fire department, the health department. We did have to do the groups, like some of the hikes were doing the group.
Oh, yeah. Chattanooga did that. Yeah. No groups of more than 7 or 8.
Yeah, we had something like that. So we ended up, I think the first hike in 2021, we had like maybe 40 or 45 hikers.
That's good.
So we had the first hike, was amazing. And we had a hiker at the end. I remember I invited everybody. I invited Mama Cindy. I invited her back to the Chief's hut. So we're all back at our Chief's mess. And I get back there and I see her emotional. And I walk up and I ask Cindy, "Hey, Cindy, what's the problem?" And she points over and she's like, "See that gentleman over there?" And I see these these Puerto Ricans hugging it out. They're emotional. They're smiling. They're having a great time. Come to find out that one of those guys was going to end his life the week before. Wow. Somebody got him to that hike, and this hike saved his life. And at that moment, I knew that all of the hard work, all of the permits, everything we did, it was for that right there.
Pays off.
That's one person. Now, how many people actually talked to you about what they were going to do or their feelings? That was one guy. And so Irreverent Warriors, our mission is to bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. What's so unique about Irreverent Warriors and what I love about it is we're very, very different. We're a veteran service organization, but we don't have like a chapter. We don't have a chapter president. We don't have a commander. We don't have a master at arms. We don't have all that stuff. It's just getting veterans together. We're very different. Getting veterans out of isolation. So the idea is on those hikes, you're going to engage with hikers of all ages, all walks of life. We have hikers that are paraplegics, in wheelchairs. The second hike that we had in Puerto Rico, we had a retired master gunnery sergeant from Vietnam, 74 years old, carrying the Marine Corps flag, running back and forth. It's all walks of life. I mean, you got 18-year-olds, you got 74-year-olds, you have all walks of life, but you're having dynamic conversations. And so the hike is specifically for active duty, reservists, National Guard, veterans, military retirees. And there's a reason why we get to ask a lot of questions. Well, I'm a police officer, I'm a firefighter. I didn't serve, but how come I can't hike? Well, it's because we want to make sure that we have a safe place for those veterans to talk about those wounds, those traumatic things, or they just want to be able to be comfortable and communicate with another veteran that more than likely is going to understand his lingo and what he's talking about. Whereas, if somebody wanted to talk to something about maybe to a civilian, they may not understand it or be off put. So we want to make sure that our veterans are in a safe place to be able to talk about those things and just have a great time. Everybody's wearing the iconic silkies. And so,
I'm wearing them right now. So
there you
yes.
go.
You don't ever take them off.
I've got 9, dude. I've got 9 pairs, man. I wear this instead of underwear.
Heck yeah. I mean, I do sometimes as well. I've got 3 or 4 pairs. I love them. That's our uniform of the day is the silkies. Now you don't have to wear them. If you want to show up in jeans and tennis shoes, by all means, show up. A veteran, if you want to.
No, I remember seeing pictures like Zach Jenkins always wears his eagle romper with the eagle.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right on his crotch, and it's just hilarious.
It's amazing. So, a veteran is going to show up. It's free of charge. Sometimes, we ask for a $5 donation. You don't have to give that donation. We expect that a veteran shows up, they're taken care of. They're fed, water, snacks. They have a great time. If you want to buy additional merch, you want to buy the shirts, that's fine. But a veteran can show up free of charge and have a blast of a day.
And that veteran, I'm sorry, Mario, I don't mean to rain on your parade, but that veteran will come home after that hike with 60 new friend requests or more on their Facebook.
Absolutely. You'll wake up the next morning with friend requests.
What the fuck?
Yes. Every day. It is a family. It's a community. And that's really one thing that we're pushing this year is communities, is chapters, communities. So we want to make sure that, because you remember, Andrew, like previously, like the hikes it was just once a year. So if we're only having an event once a year, are we really bringing veterans together?
No,
we want to make sure we're having, monthly, quarterly events. So we're continuing to bring. So we have other engagements. We have beach days. We have, meetups, cigar nights, whatever.
Volleyball tournaments like in Nebraska.
Nebraska, they do those. The volleyball tournament is amazing.
Mr. Fry, that's a shout out to you and to you, Alex Bratt.
Yeah. So those are amazing. We want to continue to continue keeping veterans together, but it is such an amazing organization. So let me back it up. So I had the first hike, and then Cindy asked me to come on with Doug as a national coordinator. So I came on as a national coordinator. I would have been
2022, right?
2022. So I came in as a national coordinator, and so at that time I think I had Puerto Rico and Guam. We had a Guam hike shortly after. And then fast forward to now. So we had the last hike February 18th of 2023. So the second hike, I think we had 60 hikers. This last hike, we had over 200 hikers in Puerto Rico, which was amazing.
Holy shit, really?
We had 200 hikers in Puerto Rico. And
good job, Mario. Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks, brother. The Wounded Warrior Project here in the American Legion, shout out to the commander of the American Legion down here for Puerto Rico, Carmen Rosario. She said that they had never seen that many veterans in one place in like forever. So that was a really badge of honor. It was like, wow, we managed to bring that many veterans together. And so it's like I said, it's very unique because we're aspiring to all walks of life. And, we have our mission. VFW has their mission. American Legion has their mission. Mission 22. You got all these different. Everybody has their mission. We have ours, and ours is very, very unique, and it's just so special. And so this year,
and I'm gonna say, the VFW. I mean, I talked to some people that are national VFW, and I know for a fact when I went to national convention, Irreverent Warriors was mentioned last year. It was on a PowerPoint in front of everybody. Yeah, I took a picture of it and sent it to Nate, who's the COO of Irreverent Warriors. But there might be, and don't quote me on this, but there might be some more interaction between the VFW and Irreverent Warriors. I know for a fact that we're going to be there. We were there last year in Nashville. The VFW had a table there. We were in Chattanooga. We were in Knoxville. We were in Memphis. And we love, I mean, Brad Bell, who's with Collierville VFW in Memphis, he's a VFW member and he's a Irreverent Warriors. And I know he's trying to close the gap a little bit and make it a little bit, because you guys have the young people. VFW, we're kind of looking for that and that kind of exposure that
the
you guys are
VFW
giving
definitely
us.
needs to change their ways, or else they're going to be hurting in 10 years from now.
Hey, we picked up 8 VFW members from the Nashville hike. Okay, boom.
Heck yeah.
I had a table.
You gotta get members, but you gotta get members involved.
Oh yeah, no, I know. They were all from Tennessee, but like Mario, it's a huge. I mean,
Hey Mario, how do we get invited and set up a table there and interview people at your hike?
You just look to the local coordinator. You let us know if you want to be there. We will set you right up. So traditionally, we usually start right at El Moro, right there at the castle. So when Andrew comes down, I'll show him where it starts. Yeah. It's an amazing view. So if you
who's the lead coordinator for? Is it going to be you?
No, so I'm going to be transferring next year. So this year it was really neat. At the end of the hike, we did change of watch ceremony, change of command.
Oh man, really cool.
So Cindy came there. So Audi LeBoy. So this guy is amazing. He volunteered on the first hike. He drove his Hummer, and he was a support vehicle driver. And afterwards, I talked to him, and I was like. I get to talking. I was like, "Hey, man, thanks for driving." And I was like, "I heard you were a veteran. You know, you got to hike this." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's kind of telling me his backstory and stuff. And long story, this guy, I mean, he's prior Army Special Forces, amazing guy. So he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I used to take pictures, but they didn't like it because I wanted to do. He goes, I used to shoot. My job was to shoot pictures, but I like to do a lot more of this." He's like, "Yeah, so." Anyhow, so he's like, I got to hike. So the following year he hikes the hike. And so he hikes the second hike. So when we were building up to this hike, we were doing the planning and everything. And like Andrew knows, it takes months and months and months to get these hikes successful. Lots of planning,
lots of talking, like he said, he had to go see the governor and the mayor. I never had to go to the governor. I went to the mayor and they liked it, but we actually had to go on the sidewalks because we didn't have enough clout to get police but Zach did. I didn't.
Sure.
Zach I'm an okay coordinator, and I was okay. I loved working for IW, and I miss them. I miss everybody in the organization. I miss Nate. I miss Cindy. I miss dealing with these guys on a daily basis. But it took 92% of my time. And it's, dude, like what Mario's saying, it takes your life. And I put a good 3 years into it, and I had to take a break and be the state chaplain, but I'm still going to go back to hikes.
Absolutely.
I'm still going to be a hiker, and it's really what he does, what Cindy does, what Nate does, what Mark does, what Anna does, what who's Anna's Beth? No, what's her name? Former Chattanooga hike coordinator. What's her name?
Bobby.
Yes, that's right. Bobby Smith Taylor. She is amazing. Knoxville is amazing. All the hikes are amazing. And if you can get out to a hike, and Mario, I'm not stealing your thunder, but
no.
It saves lives. It does. It saved my life. I went to the Savannah hike in 2018. That was my cherry was definitely plucked in Savannah. Yep. And yes, I was drunk as shit for that hike. And I got in an argument with one of the coordinators. I'm like, "Hey, you got to go this way." And they're like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Well, I used to live here for 16 years." But hey, we've made up, and I love her. I'm not going to mention her name, but I love her and I miss her.
Sure.
But like, I need to get back to hiking because it was fun.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to get the podcast involved and just show up and interview people.
Yeah, if you want to come and you guys want to come down for the hike and do some interviewing, absolutely. I'm sure we can work something out. So,
dude, pre-hike party or post-hike party or during the hike. I mean, those are 3 different areas where we can sit down with these guys.
Sure. It would be really cool. So, so Audi LeBoy. So I was leaving, and so I had a couple locals here. I wanted to give it to someone that was local veteran,
Good idea.
that was solid. So I had a really good team base, and I had a few guys that were just amazing. And ironically, a couple of them, they were leaving. They were accepting jobs in the States, so they're going to be taken off. And Audi was left up. He was the last man standing. And so I was like, "It's you, brother." And
Voluntold.
he is absolutely amazing. He's done such amazing things. And throughout the year when we were planning for the hike, this guy is like, "Hey, I got this sponsor. I got this person, this company. And so I'm like, Audi, you've been bringing in sponsors. You're coming on the team. That's it. I'm already volunteering you. You're on the team. So he was planning with us, just an amazing dude. And so, like I said, at the end of this year's hike, we did a change of command ceremony. I offered my relief to Cindy. Cindy
That's such a cool idea. God, why didn't I think of that?
Saluted each other. I handed the flag to Audi, and Audi took the flag. It was absolutely amazing.
Damn, that's a great idea, man.
He's the local coordinator now. It was cool. They on the newsletter they showed the photo of me and Audi saluting each other and me handing the flag.
I saw that. Oh, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So Audi, he's running it now. He's looking at, we might have maybe about 300 hikers this year. So we really gained a lot of attraction here in Puerto Rico. So
I'll be there.
One thing I learned from the governor, so they have an appointee here in Puerto Rico. It's called the Governor's Veterans Advocate. And this person represents all of the veterans. He's the voice of the veterans in Puerto Rico. And his job is to relay that information to the governor on any veteran aspects, things they need. And so he showed up to the hike. Now, this guy is a Gulf War veteran. He's like, I have not done anything like this in a long time. This guy hiked the whole way. Carmen Rosario, the president of the Puerto Rico American Legion, she hiked it as well. They were up in the front carrying the banner. But the Veterans Activate, he told me that Puerto Rico has the most veterans per capita of any state in the United States. There's tons of everybody knows anybody that are down here in Puerto Rico. I mean, there's just tons of veterans here in Puerto Rico. So I am really, really blessed and honored that we've got to bring this amazing organization to Puerto Rico. And I'm really, really happy to say that this is not going to be the only hike in the Caribbean. On December 30th, the last hike of the year is going to be in St. Thomas.
St. Thomas, that's right.
St. Thomas.
I saw that on the schedule.
So
that's
St.
awesome.
Thomas, it's going to be so awesome. The LC over there is amazing. So I'm super excited to head out to that one on December 30th.
Hey guys, LC is lead coordinator, DC district coordinator, RC regional coordinator, just for your tutelage.
So we,
welcome.
So we don't have the DCs and the regional coordinators anymore. We used to. So
this really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sorry. My bad, guys. My bad.
Yeah. So my title now is Director of Oconus Operations. So I represent Oconus. So I represent Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Alaska, Guam, Key West. Key West is under Oconus. United Kingdom, Normandy, France, Frankfurt, Germany, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. And now we will be having a hike also in Italy.
Shut up.
Yes, we will be having a hike in Italy. So
where?
I forget the name of the city. I'm sure I'll mispronounce it. Being an Italian comparison. No.
Rome.
No, it's not in Rome. It's central Italy. I forget the name of the actual town. I'm sorry, but
come on, Italian. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, you'll see once it hits the calendar.
Dude, Italy. Dude, I swear, man. I mean, I left it the wrong time, man. You guys are just like
exploding.
You're gonna take over the world.
I think we have 80 chapters across the world now, so we're pretty far and wide. I think we had this year. We might have had like 65 hikes this year.
That's good. That's good.
So San Diego, as you know, was the first hike. Donnie O'Malley.
That's Donnie's favorite hike.
That's it. That's where it started. I mean, it really started from Donnie. He started this. He was personally affected by Suicide's teammates, friends of his. And the way I like to describe, in my mind, this is how I see it, is that, they were going on these hikes, doing bar hopping. And if you remember Forrest Gump, remember how Forrest Gump is like he's running and people start following him and he's got this following. That's kind of how it happened. And then a couple of years, they're like, all right, guys, we got to make this legit. We got to get 501c certified, do the paperwork. Let's make sure we're legit. So they became legit. And then Cindy came on in, I think, 2018. She came on, reorganized everything, standard operating procedure, whole 9 yards. Fast forward now to.
I knew the guy before Cindy too. He was Jesse James.
I've heard of his name. Yeah.
I asked for Nashville and he never got back to me. Cindy, she did. She got back to me, and after I was 6 months sober, I was able to do Nashville, and I'm forever indebted to Cindy, Mama Bear, as we call her. She's amazing. She's an amazing person. I love her to death. And she has done so much for that organization. Yep. I saw what Donnie wrote to Cindy. It made me cry, man. Mm-hmm. Like for her birthday, oh my God, I was just like in tears.
Yeah. They're all, every person from the hiker to the local coordinator to training and development, directors,
merchandise.
Anybody that it's a part of it, it's just so special. It is a family. It's just so unique. It's something that I think I'll be a part of until I'm like, I just can't do it anymore until the day I die. I love this organization.
How old are you, Mario?
40. I just turned 40.
Congratulations. Oh, that's
so if somebody's out there listening and they want to get involved like that, how would somebody get involved?
So you can go right to www.irreverentwarriors.com. Check it out. You'll see all the cities, everything about us. If you're interested in getting involved, like you want to volunteer, apply for any kind of leadership position, you can click on it right there. It'll tell you all. You can apply for it in there. I recommend if you've never been a part of it, come out to a hike. Just come out. Like I said, it will change your life. You don't have to wear the silkies. Originally they used to carry the 22 kilograms.
Yep.
In honor of 22 veterans that pass away every year.
That's when I started. When I started, they were doing that.
Yeah, that the 22 veterans that we lose every day to suicide. That's where it started with 22 kilograms, but you don't have to wear that. If just show up, wear your sneakers, pair of shorts, something.
Dude, I was doing the rucks and I was doing the plates and all that. And I'm like, and after my 17th hike, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go tennis shoes and my silkies and a t-shirt. And that was good enough.
Yeah. You're going to be on this hike, having conversations, just dynamic conversations all day long. And you're going to go back and be like, oh my God, I had a blast of my life. And like I said, it's all walks of life. A lot of times people are apprehensive. They hear the word hike. It's a walk. It's a walk through the city. We're using sidewalks. We're permitted. We want to have a relationship. Exactly. Just like that.
Is every hike the same length?
No. So it varies. It depends on the city. So, they used to do the 22 kilometers. And that's not necessary. Yeah, right.
Dude, my hike for Nashville was 10 miles, and that was way too long. I broke people off.
Yeah.
It was August 10th, 2019, and I swear I broke people off. They were like, when the fuck is this going to end? And I'm like,
so
I don't know.
Yeah, so you because you want to be, understanding of the different walks of life that are on your hike. Not everybody can walk 10 miles. And so throughout the hike, you've got various stops or stopping for breaks and that kind of stuff. They might stop at different establishments to get some food, get refreshed, get re-energized.
Refreshment stops.
Refreshments. So the Puerto Rico hike, I think we're at like 6.7 miles, something like that. So that's just enough. It's not.
Oh, dude, that's perfect. That's perfect.
It's not too short, but it's not too long. It's
dude, Chattanooga. Yeah, Chattanooga was like 6.
Yeah,
like 6 to 8. That is a perfect hike. 10, way too much. I went way too far. but I did have Donnie O'Malley and his second in command at Vet TV, and Cindy and Nate. The big wigs were all at my hike, and I was so happy. And
Yeah.
Jared Couch was my co-coordinator. So thank you, Jared. And I'm coming back, and I'm gonna do more hikes. I just miss you guys.
Yeah, it's so much fun. You got to show up. And again, it's at www.irreverentwarriors.com. Hop on there. You can click a city and find a chapter nearby. I'm pretty positive that to our viewers out there, if you click on the cities, you're going to find a chapter nearby, and you click on it, and now you can click communities, and it'll show you who the local coordinator is, the Facebook group. So a lot of the information is on the local Facebook group. So each chapter has a local Facebook group. Sign up to the Facebook group. The LCs are very active in there, talking about different events they got going on, when the next hike is, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, your webpage is amazing. Like, go back to 2018. No, between that time, it's light and day, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's amazing.
It is.
So it's so easy to get on and find what you want to look for.
Oh yeah.
Before it was really, really hard, but now it's really easy. Good job, Nate.
Shout out to the Greensboro coordinator, who's our IT director, Chris Kerwin. He's amazing.
Oh yeah, Chris Kerwin. I remember him.
So he does a lot of that in there. He does an amazing job on the IT stuff. And even in the few years that I've been around, I mean, the website has just changed dramatically.
Definitely.
What I really love what they've done now is the communities thing. You can click on the city, you can click on Nashville, it'll tell you everything about it. The social media links, the Facebook group. If there's a hike coming, it'll tell you when the hike is. You can click that, takes you right to Eventbrite. You can register all on there and everything. It's really good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's amazing, Mario. You've done such a great job. Like 20 years. I mean, when are you gonna retire? You got 5 more years in you? 10 more years?
We'll see. I guess when I'm done playing Coast Guard, then I call it.
You said playing Coast Guard. So wait, okay. You said before we started this thing, you put in a package. So you're gonna be. I mean, can we talk about it now, or is that like the cart before the horse kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, so knock on wood. Hopefully, I applied for Chief Warrant Officer. We'll see. I'm pretty excited. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, if it happens, we'll find out here relatively soon. And
so what's that? Put 10 more years on your
good. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, if I pick it up, we'll see. So I would go from E7 to Chief Warrant Officer 2. Do a few years, and then they'll say, hey, as long as I keep my nose clean and do my job, Chief Warrant Officer 3. So
we'll see. Is there a Chief Warrant Officer 5 in the Coast Guard?
There's not. So the Coast Guard only has Chief Warrant Officer 2, 3, and 4. We don't have 1 or 5.
4 is okay. So 4 is your unicorn. Got it. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
You don't see too many. I saw a gunner once, and that was like that. Yeah, and he was with us in my first deployment. And I never saw another gunner, and a gunner is like a 5. I mean, he's a unicorn. You never see those guys ever.
Yeah.
Do you know where your next duty station is?
So trying for Washington D.C. and the reason is I'm excited. I think it would be a neat place to get stationed. There's a lot of opportunities there for my rate. And my wife, ironically, she's a teacher through Dodea, and so there's only limited amount of schools stateside. And so there's a Dodea school at the Marine Corps base, Quantico. So
what's Dodea? What is that?
Department of Defense activity, education activity. Department of Defense education activity. So it's the schools that are on base that are run by DoD. So a lot of them are overseas, but there is some that are stateside. Ironically, one is in Quantico. So if I put in for DC, we could live somewhere potentially in Virginia, and we could commute back and forth. But the one big thing that I want to say with the military is our spouses do a lot. They give up their lives to go with us across, and so it's important that I recognize the hard work that she's done, that she's put into to get this job. So I want to make sure that I take care of her, and that I recognize the hard work she's done. So I don't want her to give up the hard work she's done. So it's important that we recognize our spouses, that the achievements that, they work for, because a lot of people, I mean, think about a lot of spouses were, doctors or, nurses, they gave it up to marry us and walk away from that. So I just want to make sure I take care of her.
If that happens, will you be an IWDC guy or will you be the IW Richmond guy?
I will definitely attend both. I would more than likely still be I would be the director of Oconus still.
Okay,
I can still, virtually manage all those different ones. So I have a training.
They just had the DC hike last weekend.
The DC hike was amazing.
It was, dude. It looked like it was like 400 people there.
Oh my gosh, the photos and videos. Oh my gosh, they were amazing.
Is Dan still in charge? Dan Mallard, is he still doing his thing?
He's still part of IW. He's an upper level leadership, but he's not the LC for DC.
Okay.
Aurora is a local LC for DC. She put on an amazing hike. I got to talk to her on Wednesday, and she was super excited. So
it looked awesome. Good job, Aurora. Good job. Do you have any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mo. I was just saying. Yeah, I definitely will still stick around with IW and DC, but I will definitely be going to Richmond and DC hikes for sure.
Okay. Do you have any closing saved rounds or remarks that you want our viewers, our listeners and viewers to hear?
Any insight for a young Coastie that's about to hit the boot camp?
Puddle Pirate.
Yeah. If there's any aspiring Uncle Sam's Confused groups or Puddle Pirates out there,
that's a good one. Oh, man, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I would say definitely now is the time to go in the Coast Guard. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Put your best foot forward, go to boot camp, suck it up, deal with it, and I hope to see you in the fleet.
Do you guys really have like NCIS? Is there like a CGIS Coast Guard?
There is. Yep. So that
I thought they made that up when I was watching NCIS.
It's a real thing. So we have Coast Guard Investigative Service. So what's unique about this? Funny you say that. So NCIS is primarily ran by civilians, where CGIS, I think it's like half and half. There is chief warrant officer opportunities. So you can be active duty member in the Coast Guard and be a Coast Guard special agent. So I've known people that have applied for it. So they go to the Federal Law Enforcement Academy. Yeah. They become special agents, and it's a neat job. I mean, they're wearing civvies and everything. They don't wear uniforms, bearded out, whole 9 yards.
I have one more question for you before we let you go too.
Hot as shit. I'm sorry.
So the Coast Guard has been in the spotlight the last couple of weeks because of this Titanic thing.
Yep.
So my question is, every time, the Admiral, I believe he was an Admiral, right? When he was at the podium.
Yep.
And he had all of his line officers and enlisted people behind him. They're outside, but not one of them was wearing their cover.
Yeah, so that's so it's traditional when you're in the front of media, you should have your hat off. And the reason being is because if you're wearing the hat, like you're probably going to like shadow your face. And so it's important that when you're in front of the media, you should have your hats off so they can see a clear face of your face.
Is that a Coast Guard thing, or is that everybody?
It's everybody. It's
okay.
Pretty traditional. Because think about it, if you're wearing a big hat, you may not see your face, and it might look inappropriate in front of TV.
Okay. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing, man? They're outside. Not one person's wearing a cover.
No, it's funny. You're not the first person. I've seen that on the social medias, people asking that question. But there is a reason to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, thanks
for
playing
it's been a hey, actually, Fleet, do you have anything else for him?
No, man, I'm good, man. Appreciate you hopping on our 2-year anniversary.
Amazing.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. This was his wait, hold on. This was his idea.
Thank you.
He asked me to come along and be his like comic relief. And I do it with aplomb, by the way. But having you on this show and talking about Irreverent Warriors and talking about the Coast Guard, you are probably saving lives. And just by Irreverent Warriors, you're going to get a lot more people coming to hikes. This is going to go out this Sunday, and it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see you in Puerto Rico.
Push it to all your people there, because we would love to have a bunch of followers in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And Cindy and Nate and national leadership, which we had Alex Bratt on like a month ago, and he was
full of energy.
He was very full of energy. And we talked about Irreverent Warriors for a little bit, but he had this hike in Nebraska that was just off the chain. I mean,
wow.
we like people got lost. I mean, it was a crazy hike. It was awesome.
All right, we're gonna disconnect. Do me a favor, stick around for a second, so we make sure that everything gets uploaded real nice. So thanks everybody. See you guys next weekend, and thanks for hanging out.
See you, Mario. See you, Flake.